Hello and welcome to the second tutorial of the Unreal Engine tutorial series. So in this tutorial, as I said, we'll be working on geometry. So we want to go first of all into our modes and want to make sure we have the place mode. And we want to go into, well, we have geometry and we have a box, a cone, a cylinder and some other things. But we can also go to basic. And I'll start using some of these, a few examples. So let's say we want a cube. So you just grab it and you drag it just like that, okay? So with a cube in the details panel, you can change the scales just typing in numbers, but there's an easier way of doing it. First of all, you can move a cube or any mesh actually with these axes that appear. However, if you go over here into this corner, you can select the rotation option, so you can rotate, and also the scale. So let's say we want to scale on the x-axis, so we're scaling it in that direction. So pretty straightforward. Okay, so let's try to maybe make a small house or something, or a building. So what we would want to do is first of all create some walls just like that. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. This is just obviously for testing purposes. You can do Shift D, Control C, Control V to duplicate, sorry. And once you have that, we want to make another wall. So to do that, we're going to do Control V again. We're going to rotate this on the Z-axis. So as you can see, this is pretty easy, nothing too complicated. We can also add a roof if we wanted to. So let's do Control V again. Let's copy and paste this one. And let's move this up, and we want to rotate this on the Y-axis, 90 degrees. And we can scale this on the Z as much as we want to. So there we have a actually pretty ugly house, but it gives you an idea of how you can use geometry in your game. Normally you would only use geometry for blocking out a level, because in most cases the geometry you'll actually be using in the final game is assets that you make, for example, in Maya or Blender. Pretty much because they're dedicated softwares for making 3D assets. So if you're also interested in doing 3D assets, I have a bunch of Blender tutorials. It's a free program. It's very easy to learn. Maybe not as easy as Unreal because it has a lot of complicated things, but you can learn how to do basic things like maybe a simple house or a tree in a matter of less than a week if you work on it. So it's not that hard for the easy stuff, but for more complicated things, like maybe if you want to try to make a human or a realistic mech or something like that, it's a bit harder. So as I said, you can still use this in your game, obviously, and you might even make it look good. Like maybe you have a minimalistic platformer, so you can have this as your base maybe, and you have a player running through this area, so it still gets the job done. And as I said, it's normally used for blocking out a level, so when you still don't have the level made, you can have an idea of what the level is going to feel like. So a lot of level designers normally use the geometry inside the engine. So let's delete these, and I want to show you something pretty cool which makes this a bit faster. So instead of using the basic geometry, we can go into what's actually called geometry, and we can, for example, grab a box, and of course we can scale this, and we can do as much as we want, It is a bit different in using the basic geometry, let's call it basic geometry. It's more optimized, okay? It's something you should know. So let's grab another box and let's add it over here, okay? Just over there. Something pretty weird, but just make sure it's overlapping, okay? It doesn't have to be a box, it can be a cone or whatever. And in the details panel, over brush settings, we can select the brush type and we can make it subtractive. So as you can see, we're pretty much cutting out the hole. If you're familiar with 3D programs, you can consider this sort of like a boolean. So let's try to make a window. So let's just scale it over there, and there we go. There we have a pretty simple window. So you could also use this maybe when you're blocking out your level, if you want some sort of door or window, or just some sort of hole, something like that. So that's all for this tutorial. In the next videos I'll be explaining probably materials. So if you want to see it, make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Bye.